Good morning and welcome to FYI. For your information, it's the 7th day of September already. It's coming on to Christmas. The place getting dark fast. Tabby, good morning.
Good morning, Sherrod. Good morning, viewers. It's good to be with you here another awesome Thursday morning. I'm
Yeah,
in a very
yeah,
good mood this morning. I think I got enough rest last night. So,
beautiful.
so I'm calm, I'm collected, and I'm ready for the day. How are you guys doing this morning?
How are you folks doing this morning? Do let us know. We're eager to know how you guys are doing. Share the live, you know the usual. Smash that emoji button as well, folks. Wherever you are joining us from, we got some plannings frying at our end. We got some ginger in the cup this morning. What about you folks? Tabby, what are you having this morning?
I have ginger. I got.
You have ginger too. You
I
see,
have ginger too.
great minds think alike.
I don't think you can get better than ginger. You know what? Remember we spoke about the moringa tea? I have to try. I'll try that. I remember to try
Oh
that tomorrow.
yes, Camille Cox from Region 3 champions the Moringa tea.
Yes, I'll try and get some of that for tomorrow. But yes, I have ginger. How did you spend the
Moringa is a
evening outside
bush.
of it?
What is it?
It's a
It's a
tree.
tree. I'm hearing it's a
It's
tree.
a tree.
Oh
It's a tree,
yes.
but you can use every part of the tree for different things. So you can dry the leaves and use it as tea. You can use it in your food. You can so there are different ways that you can. It's a health plant really.
That's a
And
tree of
so
life.
different parts of the tree you can use for different things. To keep your body healthy. So it's one of
Wow.
those trees that you can use all aspects of it.
Excellent. Excellent. Good to have Lexi Bristol here. Lexi, you want to try some of this moringa? Dan Abrams is here too, and Savita Richards is here too. Good morning, Savita. And Singh here too. Loretta Argyle. I see Verna Alexander. Claudette Bubba Lewis is here. Deborah Pearson. Good to see you, Debs. All the other folks who are joining us, like Rohan Basantram. Welcome to the broadcast. For your information, Tabby is again, she got some ginger in her cup there. I see we have Dolly Anderson too. Dolly, what's in your cup this morning? What is in your utensil? Your pot
We have
beverage?
we have to do a thesaurus search for another word for cup. It's
Yes.
not going down too well.
I want this word cup. Beatrice Selby. Shall we petty? Good morning, Beatrice. Edward Brooms and all the other guys joining us. A very good morning to you all. Quite a few things to get through at our end, Tabby. And I want to make a quick start at it because these viewers and listeners that we got going to take us in a totally different
Different.
direction from where we start.
Awesome. Let's get to it.
Yeah. Quite a few things we're covering, guys. Audrey Ward is here. Terrence Beaton is here too. Good morning, Terrence. And I see Helen Collins is here. Claire Alexis Charmley Richmond is here too. Claire is joining us from Region 11 too. Claire is in Brooklyn, if I remember correctly. Audrey Ward is here. Terrence, as I said. Yolanda Thomas, aka Marlon, is here too. Marlon, good to have you. Marlon says, I just had a banana. Hold on, let me get that clear, please. I just had a banana and drank a bottle of water. Yeah.
Yes. Healthy.
Yeah.
Healthy start to the morning.
I see Deborah Pearson says that the moringa bark can be used as bitters
Yes.
as well. And this tree is an all-purpose tree. It's an all-purpose tree.
That's one way
Moringa,
of
who
putting it.
knew? Well, of course, you all knew. I didn't know. And I'm catching up here. Dolly Anderson, good to see you. Margaret Nelson. Margaret, what's in your vessel this morning?
Let's say, what are you drinking? Let's say, what are you
The
drinking this
folks
morning?
here is saying, and I'm saying as well, Margaret, welcome back to South Carolina. You had a little too much fun. We got clip you wings. You flying a little too high. A little too much fun you having. Welcome back to South Carolina, Marlon. And all the other guys who join us. Anton Nicholson is here too. Go ahead, Tabby.
I'm seeing Helen Collins said she had oatmeal. Oatmeal is not one of those power breakfasts, they say. You can get a lot out of oatmeal. But I was just thinking as you were talking about the fact that so many of us know about the moringa tea and the uses of the moringa tree that we get so accustomed to the pharmaceutical items to stop us, when we have some health issue. And sometimes right in our own backyard, there are things that our foreparents use, things our grandparents use to keep them healthy, and a more natural way of keeping healthy than necessarily running to what we call the pharmacy every time something goes a bit wrong. So we should do some research on what we have in our own backyard and see whether or not we can utilize a more natural way of staying healthy, because God placed it there for a reason. We might as well use it. And what I found, Sharon, is that sometimes these pharmaceuticals use these same products, the same ring and so, and they pull the what it is that gets us healthy from it and puts it in the drugs and then gives it back to us. So they use some of the components of the same leaves and trees and stuff like that. And so we might as well take it natural instead of the processed version.
We hear you there. We hear you there. We hear you there on that one. And you know what? You're absolutely right. The folks come. The folks come. They gather from us, our wisdom. And then they go and package it nicely and come and sell it back to me. And we like the flashiness too. We like the
I think that's the problem. We like the flashiness.
Yeah. We abandon the trees, abandon the leaves, the bark, the everything. And we gone for the flashy. Hyacinth Skit, we see you there. Hyacinth said exactly. Agreeing with you, Tabby. Onesta Ward Dean is there as well. And Veronica Primo Rollins is there too. And of course, Magnell Barrow. Magnell says so true.
So true, yes.
So true. Yep. And then they convince us that is Obia, to trust in the bush and so on. Is Obia. To get us in a certain direction. Rihanna Mingo, good to see you. Good morning. Welcome to the broadcast. Donna Joseph. June Ann Bowman is here as well. Bowman is here too. Good to see you, June, and all the other folks joining us across social media. Good morning to you. Yes, Real, good to see you too. Yvette Gordon, good to see you as well. Tabby?
I'm seeing Sharon Alfonso Evans. I don't know if you spoke out. Good morning.
No,
is it that she's saying that she had coffee this morning, or she's just showing that particular thing? Good morning to everybody. Yvette Gordon, good morning. How are you guys doing? I feel good this morning, Sharon. I'm not saying I don't always, but I feel as if it's going to be
Sept.
I feel like if it's going to be a good day, and I really hope
Amen to that
for all of us that are on the live, that it's a good day for us today, and that we stay safe, and that everything that we set out to do today, that we get it accomplished. I see somebody said hibiscus tea is good. I've never tried hibiscus tea. Have you, Sharon?
Oh. Like we see everything. We see everything.
Mother says Carmichael Street is in the house.
Good morning, guys, and welcome to the broadcast. Those of you who are now joining us, take the opportunity to share the live, smash that emoji button for us, guys, and of course, very important part of our program. Partner with us as well. This is how we keep going show to show, week after week, month after month. Folks, some of the things we're following in the morning papers, we want to share with you guys very, very early. Some of the issues making the headlines, we're still following what's happening there at Purika. This woman that they found, or the remains of this woman that they found there at Purika. Postmortem examination says that the woman would have died as a result of blunt trauma, and this is Shannon Abdullah Mohammed. And of course, the police also, we wish to report, have a suspect in custody. Shannon Abdullah Mohammed is the name of the victim. The postmortem examination says blunt trauma to the head. And of course, police found a sledgehammer close by and some other items, and a suspect is in custody.
Yes, yes, Sharon. I was reading this article, and I know you normally speak about the fact that it's either a fire, some carnage on the roadway, or some form of violence against women, and that seems to be the headlines on a daily basis. One of the three. We can't seem to go a day without one of the three forming a part of the headlines, which is an indication of where we are as a society. I condolences to her relatives and family members and friends. I could only implore persons, whatever the situation is, whatever the circumstances, resulting to violence is never the answer. It gets us nowhere. In the heat of the moment, you may feel it is the best thing to do, but they have to deal with all of the the repercussions of certain actions. And so now we have another young woman's life has now just gone, and somebody in custody might have to end up facing a lot of time in jail. And then you ask yourself, was it even worth it in the first place? So, if things are going wrong, just walk in the other direction, move away. You don't necessarily this resulting to violence for everything. It's never the best way to deal with a situation.
Well said, Tabby. Well said. And again, the investigations on this particular issue concerning this young woman, they are continuing. And as we said, this is Shannon Abdullah Mohammed, and relatives went in search of her. Saw some very suspicious activity by this character named, or at least name given as Rodwell, walking away and heading to the back of the yard, a house where Shannon was building there in Porica. And of course, they saw this fire close by and noticed what turned out to be a skull, and then other remains. Police said they found a sledgehammer, crowbar, and some other implements close by, and those investigations are continuing. And then we have the case of this 53-year-old Caneville woman who was found unresponsive on board this ferry that was bound for an interior location. So we're following that as well. Found unresponsive on a Transport and Harbors vessel going to Mabaruma quite recently. Tabby.
Yeah, I saw the initial headline, but I wasn't really able to read into this particular story because some I think it was Mervyn Williams was the gentleman that raised it and said more to come. But this would have been this is a public space. It's a ferry, yeah, but it's a public space. So I'm wondering if nobody saw anything, and they just saw a woman's body there at the end, because there would have been a lot of persons on that particular ferry. So it's really interesting to see how what the investigations show on this particular issue, because it's not in the forest or a dark corner in the back of some place where nobody is. This is in a public space where people are, and people are traversing on their way to Mabaruma. So I'm interested in what the investigations will show.
Looking forward to that, because again, we don't have too much information as to any medical complications, but both I see the Guyana Chronicle and Cyber News reporting on this issue, saying that the family is in shock, and the woman is Alma Wells, who was found unresponsive on the MV Militia. This is that new vessel that recently gone into work in that route, the MV Militia. And Alma Wells, as we said, 53 years old, hails from Caneville on the east bank, found unresponsive. Are they medical personnel who are usually on these vessels? Might be staff trained, in some ways, to give medical assistance. That's important too.
Yes, that is a very good point that you raised, Cheryl. I can't say on the times that I've been on the ferry, I have never seen any indication of any medical person on these ferries. Maybe they're there, but they're hidden somewhere waiting for somebody to call them. But I've never seen any medical person on these ferries, and it is necessary, especially for these long trips, that some medical personnel is stationed on board. I'm wondering, did this woman travel alone? Was she by herself on her way to Mabaruma? Did she go with someone? There are a lot of unanswered questions at this point, and so we just have to wait to see whether it's natural or whether something untoward happened in this instance.
Correct, Tabby. In other news, at Ichiring Bang, now this one is very interesting because we were in our own country and being harassed by the Venezuelan Sindicato. Residents at Ichiring Bang says that they are still being harassed on a daily basis. And not only that, there is little police action on this Venezuelan Sindicato that's causing them a lot of discomfort in their own country. That's interesting.
And the other part of that story, Sherrod, is that the police are saying that everything is under control. I don't know if you read that part of the article. And I find that shocking. If the rest, it's like the same thing we're saying, crime is going up and the police is saying, no, crime is going down. It's like if they have blinders on, the residents are not comfortable. They are unhappy with the situation. They feel as if they have no security. They feel as if they're unprotected against a gang that is coming in from another country. And the police are there saying, no, everything's under control. Y'all go and sleep. It will all be well. It's like there's something missing. Instead of, you would expect the police would say, okay, we are trying, but we know that there's more work to do. We hear that the residents have some concerns, and we will work with them to try to ensure that they're secure, something of that nature. But to come out blind, just blatantly to say, oh, we have everything under control, even though the residents are saying things are not under control. I worry about our security forces. And this is a border community, which means that they should also be getting some assistance from the army. So I'm wondering if there's any army presence in this particular area right now.
One wonders if the police get a little kickback, to look the other way, to turn a blind eye. One wonders, because again, you're in your own country and people from next door coming and impeding on your own rights, and no help.
All is well apart, according to the police.
No
Nothing
help.
is wrong.
So that's interesting, very, very interesting. And in other news, that you don't want to pay Annette. You don't want to pay Annette Ferguson, member of parliament, who won a libel suit against Mr. Jagdeo some months ago. The Court of Appeal, the High Court to this matter awarded judgment. The Court of Appeal affirmed the High Court judgment. And now they're saying, well, being a territorial, we're going to the CCJ, hoping to get some redress there in their paper that day.
Indeed, yeah. You see, this is is a number of things happening here. I just remember the current Attorney General speaking about when opposition MPs go to the court and having a lot of issues about us trying to ventilate issues through the court system. And we see here Jagdeo, and really the judgment, the initial judgment was not necessary on the judgment on the libel, was judgment on the fact that he defaulted in terms of what he was supposed to present to the court. And so there's still a judgment that has to also be made by the initial judge on the libel matter. And so there could be two very serious judgments in terms of, one is a 20 million, but it may end up being a lot more if it is that she finds him guilty where the libel case is concerned. And the fact that Jagdeo is going all the way to CCJ, I'm hoping when the CCJ says it's vexatious, then and they will come back and let us know that that's what the CCJ said. Because Jagdeo he's just trying to stall. He recognizes that he is at fault, but he believes that he is in charge of the process, and the court is really saying to him that at this particular point you're wrong and there's no way that we can make it right. And so we'll see at the CCJ. I don't expect it to change because all of the courts can't get it that wrong on the CCJ overturning. But then again, we live in a crazy world. So we will see
the hypocrites.
We will see what comes out of the CCJ's judgment.
Because in one instance, you've got the AG advocating for assets to be seized of MPs who may have lost court matters and so on. Seize the assets and so on. But they don't want to. They don't want to pay up, They don't want to pay up. But let's look and see how this goes. I don't see the CCJ going in any different direction than the Court of Appeal and the High Court has gone. But let's see what happens.
Yes, I'm really interested, because if there's no judgment, then he could, and my colleague Annette Ferguson could actually go and ask to seize all of his assets.
Looking forward to that. Looking forward.
I think we all are. When Annette Ferguson, our colleague, becomes the hero of the day, leaves Jagdeo homeless.
He might tuck him by Sue. Tuck him by Sue. Internationally, folks, Hunter Biden still has some legal troubles coming his way on this side of the Atlantic. Got some legal troubles coming his way. And one of the things that the prosecutors are asking for, let me make sure I capture this correctly. One of the things the prosecutors are asking for, they want to see the contents of this indictment. And they've given a certain date to have those files handed over. Give me a second. I want to really make sure that I'm capturing this correctly. But what we took away from it is how, in a very good sense, all are equal before the law in America. Prosecutors seek Hunter Biden's indictment from grand jury before September 29th, and special counsel David, I think is Weiss, has been saying this. Again, prosecutors seek Hunter Biden's indictment from grand jury before September 29th. They want their man. And prosecutors here. Now, this is the son of the president of the United States. Right? And who know, in our part of the world, Shalimar Hack done step in and drop the charges. They done step in and drop the charges. So America has its faults. But we've seen consistently how folks are equal before the law, this side of the Atlantic. Tabby.
Yes. It's. I don't know if you've been following the case, but the case, I believe, follows around the issues of tax, some form of tax evasion, and something with guns and stuff. Some issue where taxes are concerned, among other things. And yes, there's a lot to be said about the validity of the case. But the reality is that the system has the ability to allow prosecutors, to allow the Department of Justice to do what it is required to do to see whether or not a case is actually there. And as you rightfully said, Sharon, this has been an ongoing matter for a while now. I remember even before President Biden became president, there was an issue with Hunter Biden in the public sphere, and also calls for him to be before the courts on a number of issues. And so this is ongoing. Whether or not anything comes out of it, we wait to see. But the reality is that at least the institutions and the individuals in the institutions have the space and independence to actually go through all of the information, all of the investigative reports, and make a determination as to whether or not it should go to the next level. As you rightfully said here, Sharon, if it was in Guyana, before they even reached an investigation, a lot of things happen. I've heard stories of individuals just getting on a plane and just departing and leaving the country for a bit until the story dies down, or somehow the jacket goes missing and people are just walking on the streets. I've even heard stories of persons actually going through the trial, found guilty, but never spend a day in jail. There's so many stories when you see them walking up and you weren't supposed to be, weren't you charged, found guilty and supposed to be serving some time, and next morning you see them walking on the road. So they went through the process, so to speak, but they never actually served their time. So a lot of things happen in Guyana that are not the best, and shows that the institutions are broken. But at least you have here the son of the man with the highest office in the land being subjected to investigations, and as far as I can see it, they're very independent, and there doesn't seem to be any kind of attempt to make sure that the process goes away before it comes to a proper conclusion.
Shalimar Hack would have done drop the charges. And I'm seeing the comments are lit. Shalimar Hack would have already dropped this charge, because we've been here and we've seen a number of PPP persons brought before the court, on very, very credible charges. The High Court told us that Ashley Singh and Brassington matter, that fraud issue, there were credible issues to be tried. Shalimar Hack dropped those charges. We saw Anil Nandalal and his fraud matter with the law books. Those charges were dropped. Right? Pradeep Singh had private criminal charges brought before her. June Cameron, Ravindra Jamwan, those charges were dropped. You had Irfan Ali, no less than Irfan Ali, 19 fraud charges, 19. And all of this is land and other issues, land undervalue, sold to friends, family, and favorites. 19 fraud charges, all dropped like that. Could you imagine the prosecutors in US of A searching for Shalimar Hack, searching for somebody to drop the charges? Say what you want of America, right? This is real, and this is how it should be. All have to be equal before the law, especially in this one Guyana that we have. But that's not what we're seeing. Look at what transpired, for instance, in Bartica. It took them a while. Imagine a man could beat another one to death with a hammer, right? And before that is even hard in any substantive way, he on station bail.
Yeah.
You know, in this one Guyana. In this one Guyana. America has its fault, but let's give them the credit where credit is due. This is the son of the president, right? And he is being held as equal before the law. Shalimar Hack doesn't drop these charges long.
Yeah.
Who vex? So that's one of the things we're looking at this morning, this case with Hunter Biden. And in Bangladesh, folks, in Bangladesh, there's been some research being done by an institute in Bangladesh. This is let me make sure I'm calling it right. This is the AFP probe over there in Bangladesh. And they have been studying some national and international media reports on Bangladesh, all seeming to shower the current administration with praises. But Tabi, what's interesting here, what is very interesting here, is that this study has revealed that these so-called independent experts have questionable credentials, fake photos, and may not even exist. Right? And this is the AFP news agency did this research. And from this, commentators say it is evidence of a sustained campaign of disinformation by unknown actors ahead of elections due at the end of January of next year, but appears to be intended to benefit the government of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. Yeah, fake experts, and lots of them. There's not five, there's not hundreds of these articles being put out there praising the Bangladesh government. Fake experts. We got a couple for David myself.
I share this new era that we're in with disinformation and misinformation and a new level of propaganda, because propaganda has always been there. They've used it a lot during like wartime, but now it's in every aspect of life. And so I'm not surprised. What is interesting is that they're able to make a story out of it and recognize who is the source almost of a lot of the disinformation, misinformation, and praising the Bangladeshi current administration. We have it here in Guyana as well. It's very obvious. And sometimes we don't recognize how social media is used because we use it for our own purposes. But there are a lot of people that are using social media, and you may not get the same information that I get. You may not get the same news and advertisement that I get. We may be sitting in the same house, and it may be based on what it is that we may click on and so on. So information is coming to us that are trying to distort our reality or understanding of what is real and what is true in the country and who is doing what. And if we're not careful and ensuring that we're getting our information from credible sources, then we will find ourselves in a lot of problems making decisions based on very, as we say, on fake experts and fake information. And a lot of that is going to continue to happen, not only in Guyana, but as we see around the world.
Exactly. And you know, Tabby, as you talk about disinformation and fake news and the PPP all in one sentence, when you see some of these sensational headlines being bantered about the place, it's good to check the source, you know. It's good to do your homework, period, on anything you hear, whether we say it or others say it, and more so when them boys say it. It's good to do your homework. And today's Starbuck News editorial is case in point. Starbuck News is almost taking the Minister of Agriculture to task for some statement that he made, that's being used broadly. He said that with the ban on rice exports from India, markets are going to open up for our country. And Starbuck News, in its own deliberate and systematic way, saying, hold on. This sounds nice, but in reality, this is far from the truth. because one, our cost of production is way up.
Exactly.
India can buy rice from other top producing countries
Yeah.
for far less than they will get rice to for us. And we got all kinds of hambugs in our own system. We even meet our own internal quota, much more to export rice in any major quantity to places like India. So it sounds nice when them boys say it. But when you do your homework and you examine it, you realize, this is fake news coming from Mustafa and the Rat Pack.
Sharon, this is so true. It's the issue of where it is that you're getting your information from, and I think this is something that we need to press in more on, because a lot of people you go on social media and they go on any other website and they read information and they just believe it because it's on the internet. A lot of people do that. And if it is that we don't recognize it, the reality is that we don't know. If you don't know the actual source of who is putting out this information, you have to be very skeptical about what it is that you're reading. So you have to ensure that whatever it is that you're reading, wherever it is you're getting information from, whatever it is you decide to share, ensure that you're sharing credible information, because people put all sorts of stuff out there, and then we go sharing it on WhatsApp, and then we realize that there's no truth to the matter, or it has no relevance to Guyana. It's something happening 3/4 way around the world, and we somehow it ended up in our WhatsApp trail, and we're sharing it as if it's an issue in Guyana, and it was somewhere in Asia or Europe or something like that. So we have to be very careful how it is that we treat information in these times.
Tabby, true and correct. In regional news, Trinidad, one of the senators there in Trinidad is saying you got to hold the prime minister accountable. And it's interesting on what basis this member of the National Assembly in Trinidad is making this assertion here. I think he was talking at the time to members of the police force in Trinidad, and this is Naparima, opposition MP for Naparima, Rodney Charles. Well, he is no friend of the Prime Minister, I will tell you that. And every time he talks, he seems to agitate Dr. Keith Rowley, leader, Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, a little more. Naparima MP Rodney Charles, he said he's advising the police to hold the Prime Minister accountable for his Independence Day promise. And this has to do with the police force and crime and so on there in Trinidad. Dr. Rodney promised, he said, to support the police force through the challenges that they face and demand better resourcing to gain a stronghold on crime. These demands must include, this is what Rodney says, body and dashboard cameras, 24/7 CCTV coverage of crime hotspot, a fully accredited forensic science center, 24/7 border patrols, a fully resourced director of public prosecution's office, functioning scanners at our ports, a caring judiciary that dispenses justice on time, fully computerized fingerprinting and other features, and simply police stations that are equipped with computers, printers, and station diaries. Now, the fact that they're just having a national discourse, as they always do, on situations that prevail in Trinidad and Tobago is fascinating to us, because we see crime running away from us, road accidents and all of that. And as we said about other issues, our folks are just burying their heads in the sand. Like, as you said, all is well and good, just go on your way.
Yeah, and Sharon, and you see what he's talking about there about what should happen at our borders. We see here just a couple of days ago, they sent a whole bunch of police to attack sugar workers who are protesting, and we have issues at our borders that really need the protection of our police force and the army. This Trinidad and Tobago has some issues where crime is concerned. But if you've been to Trinidad, when you see those police officers, I don't know if you've actually seen those police officers in action. That we're on a different level here in Guyana.
We're coming from behind, a far way.
They are. I am not saying they have everything under control, but first of all, when you listen to the police commissioner, you get a sense that it's somebody who knows what they're about. When you see how those police
What you
are
say about Higgins there, man?
when when you see how the police officers, when they're in Port of Spain, how they attire, how they dress, there's a lot of professional way in which they engage. I'm not saying that they're, as usual, there are always some bad boys in every police force. So I'm not giving them a full complete, that they're all well, but there's a sense of purpose in their step, in how they approach situations when they're just monitoring certain streets and stuff in Trinidad. You get a sense that you're protected and safe when the police are on the ground. In most cases, in Guyana, I can't say that I get that same feeling from the police officers. Half of the time, they walk on the streets. They don't seem to have anything that if something happens, they could actually protect you, other than with their own body. And so we need to step it up. Normally, there's a sense that we're getting a lot of things from China to help with the police forces. So, but when you actually look at our police officers, there's a lot missing from them being able to properly secure and keep us safe as a society. And no matter how much Ropes and Ben tries to say something, or the president, we are far behind where our the protection of our citizens are concerned. There's a lot more to be done. And while I commend the opposition senator for making those statements, I know even if we look from our perspective, we are so far behind that I don't even feel I have the right to comment on anything that is happening in Trinidad at this point, because we are so far behind, Sharon, too far behind for my liking.
Too far behind, indeed. Tavi, I wanna move a motion for a recommittal to page 2 of your argumentation, especially as it results, as you mentioned there, in the police action in relation to those sugar workers. And again, it's another case in point, for the government to execute a high hand and a heavy hand against the populace. They can find police from all over, but Ittering Bang and the syndicatos, could have free reign.
Yes.
Right? For them to actually do the work that they're mandated to do, the taxpayers' money funding them to do. They are far removed from that. How come Irfan could get 11 policemen, soldiers and so on to walk behind him, to clean up the streets even? All is well and good with that. But to engage them in actually what they're supposed to be doing is something totally different. That's madness in a sense. It's madness.
It reminded me of what they did in Golden Grove a couple months ago. They had the police officers going there in the dead of night to shoot up the residents there in Golden Grove, well, because they were protesting the death of one of their community members. And if you listen to those videos and those recordings, it's obvious that they seem to be interested in accosting their own citizens instead of protecting them from persons who are coming from outside to cause us harm.
And that is just some of the things we're following internationally, folks, regionally. You're not joining the broadcast. We encourage you to share the live, to smash the emoji button. We're an acquired taste around at this end. And if we're not that's for your cup of tea, stick around. We might have something that appeals to you guys. But we're going to the 592 and some of the issues we're following at that end. Because you all know once we come home, things sometimes don't look right and so on. But this morning we see we have a fresh batch of doctors coming back from Cuba. They're all bright-eyed, among other things. Bushy-tailed, I think is the other part of that phrase. And we want to congratulate them. They have dedicated themselves to studies. And I don't know if they finish, but I want to say congrats to all of them. They're coming back home and may they do well. Don't come back and fall in with, the norm. Because we know the norm is not good. Bring some of that high standard of training and practice from where you guys would have qualified yourselves. These are 4 Guyanese medical doctors who've graduated from the University of Medical Sciences in Santiago de Cuba, and are already, they tell us, back in Guyana. Congrats to Dr. Eldon Matthew Lawson. Congrats to, Kezia Kalisa Lewis, Dr. Kezia Kalisa Lewis, Dr. Rihanna Tanika Rogers, and Dr. Shamar Jamal Rock. 4 bright young doctors who are back to serve their country, and we welcome you guys. Serve well. Serve well. A bit of good news
Yes,
this morning.
congratulations and welcome back. I would just like to say a couple of things here. Um, as I see, a couple of things happen here. When these students go to Cuba, they have to learn Spanish to be able to finish their program because they're taught in Spanish. So they come back here as bilinguals. They're not just English speakers anymore. They left as English speakers and came back here as bilinguals. So kudos to them for going through that entire process and coming out as doctors at the end. But what I would also like to say to the government is that, there are a lot of instances where a lot of our young people would have graduated at the first level and want to specialize. But the current process basically says that you have to serve for 5 years before you're allowed to specialize in a particular field. And I'm hoping that we would do away with this so that we get persons specialized earlier and in a particular field and not have to wait 5 years. And life happens in 5 years. 5 years, they may have gotten married, have a child, and then the ability to be able to go back off to specialize, becomes just sort of a memory or a dream they had in the past. And so I'm hoping that if any of these new doctors that are back want to specialize, that they are allowed the opportunity to do so before having to serve out their entire 5 years, because we need specialized doctors in our hospitals and not just the general doctors. General doctors are good, but the specialized you are, the more information you have, the better for the patients that come into your hospitals.
Yeah. And you know what, Chabi? Let's continue to lift the pay for our doctors, our nurses, our teachers, those in the public sector. We got the money now. We got the money now. A lot of folks here in the diaspora listen to Irfan Ali made an announcement that doctor's salary just touched 300,000 and change, and said that's still too low. If you want good service, good doctors, good bright people in the system, you're gonna live that, because soon as your folks finish serving the time, they're gone.
They're gone. And it affects the public institutions, because the first place they'll go is to the private institutions where they're being paid more. And so our public hospitals suffer, and the majority of Guyanese go to the public institutions. And so we have to ensure that our public doctors are paid enough so that our public institutions have the expertise necessary for when our patients, when persons have to visit those institutions. Because what you're basically doing is ensuring that the public hospital gets limited resources, and then people have to go into their pockets unnecessarily for everything they need in the if they have some medical issue. And private hospitals, good for them, but they're not the cheapest when it is that you have an issue. And so maybe they should look at, as you rightfully said, increasing the benefits of our doctors, and so that they would stay and ensure that the public institutions, get better service, and the persons who are going there get better service from those institutions.
Excellent. Congrats to these young doctors again. Serve well. Serve well. And while we're saying congrats to them, maybe say congrats also to Guyanese Althea Brown. Does a lot of cooking on social media, as a mass of following of over 60,000 on YouTube alone. Now, if you got 60,000 people following on YouTube, you're big. You're big. All right? Because YouTube is not something that's very big with Guyanese at home, but Guyanese abroad and others, YouTube is a one-stop shop for all of their viewing pleasures, 60,000 on YouTube. And Althea Brown has just launched this book. And most of it is recipes from her mother. We want to say congrats to her as well. That's the cover of this book by Althea Brown, and lots of good recipes are in this book. She loves cooking, loves cooking, and has now chronicled that in this book.
Yes, that's awesome. Congratulations to her. And there was, I see that we're making our Guyanese people are so awesome. I must say that, in spite of what may be happening at home, we find ways to just make sure that we do what we need to do. And so just congratulations to Althea Brown. But the other day I saw another Guyanese young woman, I cannot remember her name. She was on a cooking show, and she was bringing all of the Guyanese cuisine to this cooking show in the United States. And she served them pepper pot one day, she served them dal and rice, and they were so, oh my God, this is exquisite. And they loved it. And I just want to say kudos to the Guyanese, whether it is in cooking or any other field, that you're making headways wherever you are, showcasing Guyana on a different level and a very positive level. Kudos to you, and keep pushing forward.
Exactly. Again, congrats to Althea Brown. This first book. We hope there are many more that are going to follow. And that's one thing us as Guyanese, we got to pick up the pace on documenting, whether it's recipes or history or otherwise. We got to write some more. I'd love to see some of our seasoned senior politicians putting pen to paper some more. We just saw Raphael Trotman put out a book there about some of his experiences, touched on oil and gas as well. That seems to be making the run. And, whether it's your cup of tea or not, we hope that see more Guyanese, so that other generations get a sense how we lived and what we did with our tenure and our time.
Yes, I remember I've asked a couple of our senior people in politics whether or not they plan on writing a book, because everybody has a story to tell and their perspective on history. And I don't always get a very positive response. But I'm hoping that people understand the need for history to be recorded and for it to be written, because everybody will have a perspective. And if no side is writing or only one side is writing, then half of the story is not being told. And so I'm hoping that if you have a story, if you have a knowledge of anything that happened in Guyana during your period, whether or not it may be politics, but it may not be politics. It may be something else that happened in your village, in your community, that you believe should be told and everybody should know. Just write it down. And there are different ways of publishing. It doesn't have to be a hardcover book. You can put it on the internet so people can find it if it is that they need it. So there are different ways of doing it these days. So don't keep it to yourself. Don't keep it to yourself.
Too. Yeah. You know who did a bit of writing and compilation? Clement Rohi, believe it or not, when I was much younger, didn't dream to be involved in politics in this way. I had no name recognition at all. Read a compilation of speeches by Clement Rohi when he was Foreign Affairs Minister. Believe it or not, Clement Rohi, was once our Foreign Affairs Minister. No, not lots of you just fainted disbelief. Foreign Affairs Minister before, then served as Home Affairs Minister. I said to Clement, don't write the book. Don't write the book. It was a hard time getting through that compilation of speeches by the then Foreign Affairs Minister Clement Rohi. Like, what's Clementing? People start a thing like, what's Clementing? Right? Home Affairs, he work out too good at all. Right? Foreign Affairs, no. Right? Now the dashi by GCOM. Right? Just now he want to pretend to be an expert on electoral systems. Right? Like, what's Clementing? Right? They say Clement used to push a bike by a cinema. I don't know. Like, what's Clement? Don't write though. That's all I can tell you. Don't write.
Oh my goodness. I actually saw that he has been writing quite often in newspapers of late, trying to determine history in a particular way. But I don't give it too much thought.
Yeah.
So there's not a whole lot in
You're missing much. Right? Let people like Althea Brown and others write and so on. But that being said, folks, vehicle fraud, we may want to determine that. This young man purported to have a vehicle to sell for $600,000. Met the fellow who wanted to buy it in Chung, said he had to collect the vehicle, but the vehicle had not been forthcoming, and the young man, called the police. Now, what is fascinating to me here is that this young man that you see up on the screen is supposed to be 21 years old. Now, folks, I don't believe he's 21. That's number one. But if you're 21 and you already conning people out of monies, we're in a bad place. And that's why I love to see, and we'll continue to celebrate when our young people are moving in a positive direction, like our doctors who just returned from the Cuban university and are going to be playing a meaningful part. Now, I understand that everybody didn't get born in a certain family who were interested in education or what have you and so on, right? But when you get to a certain age, you can make certain decisions for yourself and decide, I'm going to go in a particular direction and fight towards going after that. But 21 and you coming up with schemes to rob people out of the money, you're on the wrong track. You're on the wrong track and you're not going too far. You will not go too far at all. 21 and before the courts for fraud in this way.
Jared, some people may disagree with you that you may not go too far. What did you say he was?
21.
No, but he's a con. What do you say? He's a con man?
He's a con man.
We don't have a lot of those in our
Oh, you say so? He's right. He's right for politics on the other side, as you say. Right? They say rock and come in. You got the stuff that we're looking for here. We went all this time.
I don't know. No, it's on a serious matter. You're actually right. In the sense that, as young people, we have to make better choices for ourselves and for our future. It may seem the easy thing to do, but is it the right thing to do, and what will come of it in the end? And there's a thing about being at peace at the end of the day that you can't really buy.
Yeah.
And I think that the whole idea of this get rich quick thing and being able to access money under sometimes very false situations, it never ends well for us if that is the road that we decide to go down. And there's nothing better than earning an honest dollar. I can tell you that. There's nothing better than that. Yes, you might get something fast, but at what cost? And even if you think that the cost may not be high, you still have, if it is that you have children, so you have to think about all of those things when you're making decisions for yourself. And, because it's not easy. Guyana isn't easy right now. Life is hard. The cost of living is high. We know all of those things, but at the end of the day, you still have to make the right decisions and the best decisions so that you don't end up like this young man is in police custody and maybe facing some jail time. I don't think that is what you want when you decided you were going up. You're a teenager and you want to do something with your life that you expect to end up in jail at the age of 21. So you got to make better decisions. We have to make better decisions.
Yeah, make better decisions. Make better decisions. Gerald Barker, who hails from Tushen. You can't do the time, don't do the crime. But at 21, your life is not done. You can recover from this and actually want to really what we want for our young people. But he don't think he wants to leave. That being said, Minister of Health fantastic said that the uptick in dengue cases, they're subsiding. Well, they didn't even want to tell us we had this surge in dengue cases. They did during the war, alerted the public to that. Then they came out. Now they're saying they're coming of the Chinese surge in dengue locally.
I find, I listened to Frank in Parliament, the Minister of Health, Member of Parliament, and he seems to be a sensible man. I must say that. He's one of those who, when he gets up to speak, you can listen to him. He doesn't come with all of the politics and all of the unnecessary things when he gets up to speak, unless he is pushed in a particular direction. But I'm sometimes unsure about how it is he deals with some of these situations. As you rightfully said, when there was obviously a case of an increase in dengue in society, there was nothing from the Ministry of Health helping people to understand that this is on the rise and how it is they can protect themselves and what they can do to ensure that it doesn't spread even further. There was nothing from the minister or the ministry. And then all of a sudden you get something from outside of Guyana saying that there's an issue. And then he comes now with dengue cases ease. When did it rise? When exactly was it, high? That he never made a statement of that, but he comes out, dengue cases ease. Like, sir, you have to do better than that. I really don't understand how it is that the ministers of government see their role as ministers, and they understand what their role entail. Because and health is so important. The health, education, those are the two big ones that you need to have somebody who really understand not only the administrative aspect, even if they don't get that right, but the people aspect to what it is that they're doing, and ensuring that whatever policies they implement and the decisions they make, how it would impact the people that are under them. For health is the whole of Guyana. For education, of course, is the young people, is the children of our country. And so they need to ensure that when they're making decisions and when issues arise, that they're at the forefront of letting people know what is happening, guiding people along, so that we are in the best health possible given the circumstances that we may find ourselves in at the time. I don't see that from Dr. Frank Anthony, quite sadly.
I take your sentiments, Tabby. And the final issue we wish to deal with this morning, guys, Sarah Lynch, she's on her way out. I hope soon, he says, we hope as well, she fires the final shot, I hope, across the bow, talking about sanctity of contracts. Of course, she's talking about ExxonMobil here. PPP promised to renegotiate this contract. They promised to do that. And we're still waiting. They condemn the fact that one of the contracts didn't get ring fencing or something like that. And they've produced many more contracts for the oil and gas sector without ring fencing. They talk one thing, but they do something else. Of course, ExxonMobil is an American company, and Sarah Lynch is protecting her own interests here. She's quoted as saying that we don't get involved in the details of these contracts. We don't certainly get involved in details of any business. But we as Guyanese, we can get involved. And there's sanctity of contracts, but there's also other ways that contracts can be renegotiated, can be voided, and all of that legally. And while there is that doctrine of sanctity of contracts, you want a fair deal too. You want a fair deal, and these guys are real bad. Before they got into office, now they seem to be neutral. I don't know by Sarah or who, but pursuing this renegotiation. Right? We feel we have a strong hand. Having all of these additional oil discoveries since, we have a very, very strong hand. But we don't seem to be going in that direction. Right? Sarah preaching sanctity of contracts on her way out.
Yeah, this is my major issue with this particular, not necessarily what the ambassador has said, because she has the right to say what she feels, but it's what it is that our politicians say to us and how we respond to it. The AP and UFC signed a contract with Exxon. At the time, they believed it was the best they could get under the circumstances. A lot of conversation can happen as to whether it was the best you can get, whether we could have done better, but that was the contract that was signed. The PPP at that particular point decided that no, it was not the best, they could do better. If they were in, they would have done better. And when they get in, they would do better, especially this particular contract. So they're the ones who said that they were going to renegotiate and that they would get better for the Guyanese people, and that what AP and UFC did was not good enough. And so people bought into that. Some people voted for them based on those particular reasons. And now they're in government. So now, as a people, after hearing the government, and not only on Exxon, on so many other things that they promised they were going to do once they got into office, and you're seeing them now in office not fulfilling those promises and not even saying to the people why they cannot fulfill the promise, but now suggesting that they're going to do better elsewhere and in other places, then the people have to make a decision as to whether or not they can trust the people who they place in government. And that is as simple as it gets. Yes, we can talk about whether APNU did it the best or not, but the fact is APNU did what AFC did what they thought was best in that moment. The fact is that the PPP promised the people to do better on the contract. And 3 years in, they have not been able to do so. And in fact, they have made the environment worse off because they have reneged on some of the things that under us, the EPA was regulating and ensuring that Exxon stayed on track where the environment was concerned. And they have
Yeah.
completely gutted the EPA and left the EPA with persons who are not necessarily the most professional to understand the circumstances that we find ourselves in and what is required. So the ball is now in the court of the people of Guyana as to whether or not the EPA is best for the country.
And you know, Jackie is going to come out tomorrow in his press conference, today rather, this afternoon, and he's going to talk about all the reasons why, you know, you can't renegotiate. The hypocrites that they are, the hypocrites. And yes, again, we agree that there's a doctrine like sanctity of contract, but lots of other ways to intervene in a contract besides just intervening for the sake of intervening where there's definite unfairness, you know, unequal terms, unequal bargaining strength, and all of that. Many, many ways. Many, we understand Sarah got to speak, you know, for her interest. But we think you're electing folks and you're putting folks there, installing folks even to look after the interests of Guyanese. Well, I think we see enough when we see what they did with the insurance liability issue, you know, and they're fighting tooth and nail for Exxon. One of the Guyanese people, what else we want to see? Exactly. What else we want to see, brothers and sisters? What else?
Yes, ambassadors and so will come and go.
Yeah.
But as a people, we have the ability, and I think, to determine the way forward for ourselves. I'm not saying that outside forces will not try to have a say in what happens here in Guyana, but as a people, we also have the ability to determine what is best for our future. And so we have to make better decisions for ourselves as well.
Correct. Folks, I think that's going to do it for us at this end this morning. We want you guys to go on from here and have a great and fantastic day. Sanctity of contract, yes, for all intents and purposes, but where there's definite unfairness, if you believe that, people should be allowed to renegotiate the terms of those contracts. And as you said, we were in a different place when we started this journey in oil and gas. And we look at our steps. We don't just keep going blindly down the road and say, y'all come and rape and rob we. Don't even use no grease or what have you. And we must just take it, sir. No. Sarah gonna go and Nantucket or somewhere nice and retire and relax, you know, and it's taken care of by our government for the rest of your life. You know, it's a real nice time out here if you work hard. And no doubt Sarah put in her time and deserves the benefit of that. But us as Guyanese, we have the resources, you know, and we're feeling it. I think that's like slavery. Honest to God, you can work hard, but you ain't seen the fruits of your labor. Nurses out here who work hard can live, you know, not just exist, can thrive. Doctors, you know, teachers can live. You could put yourself through school from now till next year, you know, in GT. You build a house by carrying your old age. You know, we got to change that. We have the resources where every Guyanese, Tabitha, can live a certain way. You know, we don't have to be mendicants and beggars. In our own country, we're not safe. Venezuelans coming in and roughing we up. In our own country, bullying we in our own country. You see, something is wrong with that. But more so economically, we have the means by which every Guyanese could live a comfortable life. But them boys won't keep us as beggars. They won't keep us dependent on them. Capital, you have to find a way.
No, well, I would just say to the end is that we have a choice to make. At the end of the day, that is what matters, that the elections will come up, and as Guyanese, we have to make a choice as to whether or not, one, we get ourselves registered and we go to the polls come elections day. As I said yesterday morning, young people make up over 60% of the population, and young people have the ability to change the course of the country. And so young people have to decide whether or not they're going to lay back and say that it doesn't matter who is in government, or recognize that there's an opportunity to make a change for the betterment of the country and step up come next elections and be a part of that process. So that at the end of the day, that is what is going to matter. 2025 elections are going to be, where we make decisions as to what we want to see for our country, and I hope we make the right ones.
Make the right decision. Iron and the light one, Kyle Bino, Patricia Kissoon, all the other folks joining us on the live this morning. It's been our privilege. Before you all run off, share the live. The others get valid and credible information before y'all run up. Smash that emoji button for us, folks. We're looking thin this morning and partner with us as well, good folks. You all know that's how we do program after program, day after day, week after week, month after month. Thank you guys for being here with us. We want to advise you as well if you're going to be out with doing your documentation for some business purpose out there and you need a good justice of the peace, a commissioner of oaths affidavit, we want to recommend this fantastic firm, the Alistair Collins firm. They're down there on Lamaha Street between Camp and Waterloo Streets. They're experts in this area. You need a good justice of the peace. Commissioner of oaths affidavit, 649-6410, 685-6448. And they're going to attend to all of your documentation needs. They're fantastic. We use them all the time. That's why we recommend them, folks. That being said, we want you guys to go ahead and have a fantastic rest of the day. Tabby.
I have a good day, guys. Remember, stay safe.
Yeah.
Be kind. Love each other. Can't go better than that. Bye-bye.